Welcome to the Gentleman's Guide to the Accursed. Let me tell you a little story about a man named Blues Johnson. He was a guitarist from down Louisiana way. Down in Louisiana and down on his luck. Okay, alright, okay, thank you so much for the musical accompaniment. We don't need it to intersperse between every single sentence, I think. It was a lovely idea, but thank you. Anyway, Blues Johnson, he had no bread, he owed men, he owed 'em big, but all he had to his name was his guitar and his singing voice, a voice that sounded like a plow through gravel. Blues Johnson knew the end was coming, so he made his peace with his family, he made his peace with God, and he went walking. Oh, he walked a long way, sure that at the end of his road he would meet his Maker. Maybe that's exactly what happened. Because Blues Johnson found himself at a crossroads, but he wasn't alone. You see, standing at the corner there was a different kind of cat, a lady who was all legs and all smiles, and she asked him, "What's the matter, young man?" He couldn't help but pour his heart out, and how his heart bled, the tears rolled down his cheeks, and that raspy voice of his, well, he told her everything as he wept like a baby. And you know what she did? She held his chin in her hands, and she laughed. She laughed at Blues Johnson. And the reason she was laughing? Well, it's because she told him, "Blues, I can give you everything you ever wanted, but you're going to owe me. You're going to owe me bigger than you've ever owed any man." Now, Blues Johnson, as we've already established, he didn't own anything but his guitar and his voice, and all he wanted was to be a successful musician down Louisiana way, so he couldn't give neither up. Instead, he offered her the last thing he had inside himself, his soul. She was welcome to it, he said, because he was already damned. "Oh, honey," she told him, "you don't know what damned is." It's around this time I would normally tell you this tale is apocryphal, the kind of story that the Outcasts feasts on, the kind of folkloric legend they used to pass the time and shroud their true selves in mystery. But no, not this time. You see, Blues Johnson exists, but his name is slightly different. The lady, the Fiona with the legs and the smile, she exists too, and she laughs when she makes a deal with you. It's the kind of laugh that somehow puts you at ease despite the mockery held within it. Because the League of the Hidden Crossroads has made deals with tortured musicians and restless artists, struggling authors and depressed mystery seekers. The Faustians will take any motherfucker's soul if they're giving it away. As simple as understanding, talent, fame, or riches in exchange. Those kinds of deals, well, they're easy for the Faustians to fulfill. It's not that they're not sympathetic, heavens no. The League of the Hidden Crossroads know the agony of desire better than any outcast, for at one point or other, each of them was that person, on their knees, tears on their cheeks, blood on their cuffs, begging for something, anything. And an outsider, or an outcast, answered. From pathetic acorns a twisted oak might grow, and in the case of the League, very few are members of the same family tree. Rather, they all bit into the same forbidden fruit, and now they help in selling it. They are master manipulators, gifted either in determining what it is another person seeks, "What is your pleasure, sir?" or delivering that which is sought in exchange for services often diabolical. Yes, the League have powers that enable them to enact such wishes, but they are just as otherworldly as other outcasts. It isn't that gives them their edge. More than this, they are masters of the social game. A slight tick or tremor, the briefest of breaths catching or flutter of a heartbeat, and a Faustian suspects what you need and knows what it is that you want. Often, the two are different, and the Faustians cater to wants rather than needs. It's the wants that'll damn you. Their relationship with other outcasts is a peculiar one. Unlike most outcast families, the League demonstrates little desire to retake the outsides, claim their heritage, cast down those who made them, or venture into the battlegrounds. That is, unless it's necessary to fulfill a deal that they just brokered or guaranteed. Other outcasts therefore see them as peddlers and solicitors, but it's more grounded than this. The League of the Hidden Crossroads, for all their diabolical air, are more concerned with what mortals and other accursed want than what they personally need. It's that addiction to want. You could, if you were feeling generous, describe it as an addiction to service that keeps them grounded. How can they spend time venturing into the great unknown in service of personal objectives when they have so many pacts and deals in the air that require satisfaction? The League has clients, sometimes repeat clients, especially when they are among the accursed. They don't want the reputation of having let someone down who pledged away something significant for, let's say, their life for the life of another, or their love for the destruction of another. No. The League always put their clients first, because reputation is all, even when it's at great personal risk. In this respect, the League of the Hidden Crossroads have more in common with the Zeds than their fellow outcasts. After all, a broken deal is no deal at all, and the League pride themselves on their contracts. There are some Faustians. They call themselves the Ogramok, who claim an origin story of sorts for their family. For various reasons, they're shunned for their touted beliefs, which claim the first accursed of the League was no human who succumbed to damnation, but a fey creature who forged the first pact. I know this entity's name, but I'm not going to speak it. These kinds of things are loaded. Suffice to say, the Ogramok trace a web of pacts and deals that link back to this fey being, all clutched in its talons, and that if it wished to do so, it could call all payments due, obliging every member of the League to its service. After all, they joined the family by choice. This is rarely an outcast family that you are born into. Each member of the League offered something up, and in exchange were damned. They got something in return, don't get me wrong, but this is where the family is most divided. Most Leaguers would tell you the deal was always for our soul. We gained something, and we gave our soul up, hence becoming outcasts. But groups like the Ogramok would say otherwise. They say, the deal was that our Fey Master will claim our soul when he wants it, but until then, we're all its puppets. Pray that it never wakes and demands its tithe, starts pulling those strings. The Faustians' most interesting relationship, I would suggest, is with the Munificent family of outcasts. Many have pointed out the similarities between the two families. Both make deals, both offer services, but if you expect the two to be bedfellows as a result, you would be very much mistaken. The Munificents, as we will cover in a future video, see the Faustians as little more than pimps and loan sharks, while the League see the Munificents as demons high on their own supply. The League's outcasts are quick to tell you that they will die in service to another, but the Munificents are only willing to sacrifice the lives of others. The Munificents don't deny this. In fact, they state the League are imbeciles for throwing everything away based on a Faustian contract. The nature of the two families and the deals they offer, the kind of services they render, and their origins are distinct. But it is interesting that two pact-forging families should be found within the Outcasts. Interesting and yet not all that surprising. After all, many of us, when we look at devils, genies, demons, and the like, are going to rest on a serpent in the Garden of Eden, or the devil greeting Jesus in the desert, making that offer, knowing that right now the person you're targeting is down on their luck, desperate, and likely to accept whatever deal you have to offer. much as Blues Johnson did. I predict a clash between the two families at some point in the future, especially given the Munificent blood ties to the Outcasts. You see, they feel that sets them apart. The League were merely adopted into the family, into the lineage, I should say, whereas the Munificents are the lineage. My closest friend from the League, a Hollywood showrunner you might know by the name of Theo Vasilios, he warned me over dinner the other night that the Munificents are trying to dig their family head out from the outside, that he was buried and they are trying to excavate him, and only the League are taking the threat seriously. Theo said to me, while sucking on a crab claw, that the Munificents wish to establish a new order over the world's outcast, and to do so, they wish to claim a throne in the outside. He then said, while guzzling his wine, that the League are looking for friends among the sorcerers to back their play against the genies. After all, he told me while puffing on a cigar, which accursed are the League more like than the sorcerers? The League consider themselves sorcerers among the outcasts, certainly less outcast than the Munificents. And there is something that the League admires among the sorcerers, Theo said. After all, the League know what it is to be desperate, clawing, climbing, keen. They were all that once. Maybe they can be again. He then left, saying he had no way of paying his share of the bill, and left me to foot the cost. Classic Vasilios.